Hello, welcome to Spotlight on Souris, brought to you by WCG-TV, Access Channel 12. My name is Laura Simons. Today is January 8, 2018. And today we have with us the Mayor of Souris and Glenwood Municipality, Darryl Jackson. Thank you, Darryl, for coming to join us.
Nice to be here.
And you are going to tell us review 2017 and tell us what's going on for the future in Souris here.
Okay.
So, looking back, what can you tell us of all the good things that happened in 2017 and some of the interesting things?
Yeah, well, it just so happens I was looking at last Friday, January 5th, Plain Dealer, and they did the year in review, and it was reminding me of how much snow we had in December. So starting January 1st, our public works staff was under the gun moving snow around, trying to get sidewalks clear,
Right.
residential streets. Of course, the commercial gets done first. So we did have snow to contend with right off the bat. It wasn't as cold as some winters, but we did have a pile of snow. And then, of course, the big snowstorm, 5th and 6th of March, just devastated everything, closed down highways, and I know I got stuck personally in Winnipeg. Couldn't get out, had to spend an extra night in there.
Oh, dear.
And eventually got to Brandon the Tuesday, and then couldn't get anywhere there till about 3 in the afternoon because of blocked highways. Eventually was able to go south on number 10. So we started off with a bang, and of course with all that snow, we had some flooding issues in the park as kind of the normal realm. They weren't too bad, and the water did get away, so we didn't have, major flooding issues, but there was some to deal with.
Concern, sure.
Yeah. Once we got through that, I think the weather in general was pretty good in 2017. Very good for our Canada 150 celebrations in July. We had lovely weather for that. From what I've been told from farmers, by and large, their crops turned out pretty reasonable. I think we got timely rains. We certainly didn't get an overabundance of rain, but timely rains can make quite a difference in the crops. So I think by and large, farmers are happy. Council continued our program of renewal and re-graveling and so on the rural roads. They were due for some attention, and we put a fair bit of money into graveling and actually building up some soft spots and so on. So that worked out well. The bridge out south of town, nicknamed the Dunbar, that's what everybody calls it, the Dunbar Bridge, 4 or 5 miles outside of the town, that goes across the Elgin Creek as it heads for the golf course, was redone this fall. So, that road is back open again.
And it was blocked off for quite a while.
Yes, it was out of commission, and thank goodness there's easy access north or south. But in town, our emphasis really was on Victoria Park. The Kirkup Bridge, the old one was taken down, and the new one is going to be in place. It's not on active duty yet, but it will be in the spring. I would say it's probably 80% complete. They've allowed a walkway for pedestrians so people can make the walk around the park, make the circle again now for the winter, and they'll get that done in the spring. Then we also had a program between the two bridges in the park, restabilization of the creek bank after all the flooding that has happened. And that was finished this fall, other than there might be some minor landscaping to do in the spring, but by and large that is done as well. So those were the major projects we had.
How did they reinforce the bank along that creek?
Well, they took live trees, knocked down a row of live trees out east of town, chucked them in along the bank, and then rearranged the soil and so on, put rock in some places, planted a bunch of trees. I forget how many hundred bushes and trees that can absorb and withstand water. Once they take hold with their root system, it will hopefully help to stabilize the bank. So we're looking for good things out of that. We'd like a quiet spring if possible, just to give those little trees a chance to get rooted. Yeah, that's right. Yes. Yeah. So I think once that Kirkup Bridge is opened, the roadway going further south past the Elks Playground and then the road going west towards the swimming pool. Probably is gonna look kind of funny, like the new bridge is a fair bit higher, so I think our public works staff will have some work to do in building up those roads and, you know, maybe rearranging the parking a little bit there. So they'll have some work to do before it's all beautiful down there again, but we're on the right track, I think.
Right, good, good. Okay, and so you said that the Kirkup Bridge is, you said, nicknamed the Kirkup Bridge,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Is it about 80% done?
I believe, I could say it's about 80% done.
Great.
You know, as far as business things go, Pembina Co-op opened up their big new store.
Yes, yes.
Real addition to the Souris business community.
It looks great.
Yeah, and Lon and Loretta Turner reopened the corner store, so that's another plus. And of course, we've got the big project on top of the hill there, the Souris Hotel Murray building, which unfortunately fell behind over the year due to the snowstorms and probably other factors.
Yeah.
And they never did manage to catch up, but we're hoping that they will be opening in the spring as well.
Right. How many apartments in there?
I believe there's going to be 18 suites and 28 hotel rooms on the north end.
Hotel rooms.
Yeah.
We need the hotel rooms.
Absolutely. Sure. It's
for
just going to be a very, you know, it's an exciting thing. It's going to be very, very good for Souris.
So we won't have any restaurant in that building, no?
No, I believe the plan is that they will just serve continental breakfast to their guests.
Okay.
But there won't be a restaurant that the public can just be for guests only.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we have an awful lot of functions that go on in Souris that could use a hotel room with 28 rooms.
Absolutely.
For
yeah,
sure.
Absolutely. Whether it's even extending it to Brandon, like the egg shows are looking for hotel rooms outside of the city of Brandon, so I think they can take advantage of that. We've got speed skating shows and wrestling matches and hockey tournaments and weddings.
Dog
and
show, I think.
all kinds of things.
Yeah.
So
Great.
I think it'll be wonderful.
Yeah, hopefully then this spring.
Yeah, that's what I'm really looking forward to is getting that place open. I think that's going to be very exciting. The other exciting news we got in September was that after 7 or 8 years of applying to the Building Canada Fund, we finally got to the top of the list and were awarded money to revitalize and redo Crescent Avenue, which is our main business street looking over the park.
Right.
So that involves relining. Both the sewer main and the water main were cambered, and it was found that the sewer main was in pretty good shape and can be lined using a new technique that's out there. Can be lined without having to dig the street up.
Sure.
And the water main, we're going to directional bore it, so there might be 7 or 8 holes for a time along Crescent Avenue, but it's not having, you're not having to have an open ditch where the whole street is wide open. You know, the less disruption to business as we can possibly make it is what we hope for. And then all the connections, because some of these could be as old as 100 years, all the connections to businesses along the Crescent will be redone at that point in time. Once we get that done, then of course, all the
aesthetics will happen.
Yes,
After
be
that.
repaved, new sidewalks, then we can get into all kinds of nice stuff as long as the money holds up.
Right. Well, that sidewalk on the far side was, crumbling.
It was crumbling, and it's too narrow now
very
for
narrow.
people with buggies or strollers.
And yet that's an enjoyable walk because you're above the park.
Yeah.
There's always something going on. There's campers, there's music, there's stuff happening in the park itself. Kids playing games going on down there. So it's a good place for people to view the park.
That's correct,
So
yes.
To make it more aesthetically pleasing will be good for our community.
Yep, yeah, and we're hoping that, if the money, we really don't know what the underground stuff will cost until we tender it out.
Yes.
But we do know that we've got $1.5 million to spend. 1/3 of that is our own dollars that we've been putting away in a reserve fund. And so, once that money is used up or whatever's left can go towards the, as you say, the aesthetics on top, then we'd have to levy a special tax on urban ratepayers. Or we're hoping maybe there'll be a group get together and fundraise for some special things, whatever that might be,
Right.
that we just don't have the money for. But
Right.
it's a little bit of an unknown right now until we get a little further along.
Okay, so you have to hire an engineer first off, and do they give you some ideas of what they're looking at? Have we as a community given you ideas of what we would like to see on the Crescent there?
Absolutely. The Chamber of Commerce hosted 3 different public meetings. One for the Crescent Manor and Victoria Park Lodge residents, and 2 others, I believe in the Kirkup Lounge here in this building, and then one at the school to see what the school kids had to offer. So those have all been compiled and put into a report. So definitely the committee will be looking at incorporating any of those ideas that are deemed good and feasible, of course.
Okay.
And yes, it's nice to get the community input.
Yeah,
A lot of the ideas, whether it's from the school or from the seniors or from the public at large, turned out to be much the same. It's
Really?
amazing how they all kind of came together. So I think that's positive. The committee that's in charge of the renewal have had 2 meetings. They've hired a consulting engineering firm out of Brandon, who I think once they get these ideas and we have a meeting with them in the room, they'll probably give us 2, 3, maybe even 4 different options that we can look at. And then you can add or you can take away and so on, but so you have to have a starting point.
Yes, and depending on the cost.
And yeah, costs, as always, play a part of it, you know.
Yeah, sort of run the show, don't they?
That's right.
Okay, so, what will, you were talking about other amenities, Steve, you were mentioning that.
Yeah,
Like a,
some of the ideas mentioned, of course, the trees that are left, and a lot of them are elms that have either been taken out or will be taken out because of Dutch elm disease.
right?
But with this directional bore and so on, probably the ones that are left are going to be damaged beyond repair and probably are all going to have to go. So it'll be a replant of trees and maybe some shrubs, maybe smaller trees that don't get in the way as much. We may need to place the trees smarter, if I might say that, rather than, you know, sometimes that they're right at the end of a street where there's a pedestrian crosswalk sign. And if you've got a vehicle here and a tree here, you don't really see that sign. So I think there'd be probably better ways of placing and locating those trees. And picnic benches has been brought up, picnic areas, benches just to sit on, you know, and so on. And of course, a new walkway on the south side, whatever form that might take. There's different ideas out there.
I think that's a great place where you get to sit now, you can see over top of the bowl and see the crescent at the same time, so it'd be nice to have a little bit more of that along there.
And we do have to look at the side of the hill into the bowl itself. There's a lot of trees growing up there now. Trees are good.
Stable.
Yes, trees are good because their root system holds that ground firm. So you sure don't want to take them all out at the same time, especially from the gazebo going east. It's becoming a forest down there, and you overlook there in the summertime. You really can't see into the duck pond and the park anymore. And I would hate to see that happen going west from the gazebo towards the lodge, because that's looking right down over the bowl. So I think we have to be mindful of that and keep some trimming.
But keep the stability in the hill.
But keep stability there, yes. Yeah. So it's, you know, it's kind of a give and take attitude I think we need. For sure.
Wow. Wow. So when will those plans be brought? Have you had
I'm
a
hoping
date for a first meeting, or?
Yes, I think 18th January probably is the next one coming up. I think these consultants would like to move forward, like really getting some pretty solid plans by March, and then we can tender it out so things can get rolling in April, maybe early May at the latest.
Right.
Once the frost out of the ground.
Right, that's when they could work on the ground. It would be really nice to have everything lined up by then.
That's right. In fact, the lining of the sewer line was going to be done last fall. It's a firm from Regina that does it, and they were in the city of Winnipeg doing work. This is not new technology. City of Winnipeg has used it for quite a while, so we're not a guinea pig in this regard. It does work.
Yeah.
And so, what happened was they had 2 trucks working in Winnipeg, had them parked in a compound overnight, and they were vandalized overnight in November. So instead of coming, and this was like really vandalized, like took the wheels off the units and everything. So the owner just sent his people back to Regina and said, we're done in Manitoba for this year. We'll come back to Souris in the spring.
Oh, okay.
So that's what has happened there. We would have had a piece of it already done.
Finished, yeah.
So
Okay.
that's just things that happen that you
Under,
can't predict.
yeah, that's right, that's right. So we're under another time crunch, we gotta get everything, try to get everything done as.
Yeah, and I mean, I would certainly hope that we get the underground stuff done early in the year so it can be packed down properly and we can pave late summer, September, October, before it gets cold again. That's certainly what we want to do.
Yes, that would be the best, you know, and the sidewalks, keeping them good for people in their wheelchairs and our walkers and all the things that, you know, rely on those smooth surfaces to have that done as well.
Well, those 2 buildings at the west end of the Crescent, you know, Crescent Manor and Victoria Park Lodge, there's so many people walk with the help of walkers or in some cases the buggies, you know, scooters, whatever you want to call them. And so, you know, they need a proper place to walk. They need it to be fairly smooth.
And people with vision problems. And
all those types of things. We don't want uneven
surfaces
sidewalks.
Place. They already have a little bit of a hill to come up, which is a good challenge, I guess, for them to get a little exercise, but we don't need them having terrible things to get over.
Yeah, and at least that sidewalk that's coming up the slope there, it is a nice wide sidewalk now, so we don't have to replace it at this point.
So what's this going to do to the businesses downtown? You said we were going to actually block the street off altogether if they do the holes to bore in and stuff. Will it disrupt some of the businesses along the Crescent?
Oh, yes, it will. You know, most of them, their front doors, of course, face onto the Crescent. Probably a week at a time. Like, let's say we're starting at the east end, there'll be, you know, 6-7 day or a 5-day week, whatever, where the south side of the street will probably be open, but we'll have to be significantly reduced as far as traffic. And when you go to hook, like say for Home Hardware, when you go to dig the water and provide the new connections, you know, that store front probably is going to be blocked off. We're hoping that we can use the lane on the side so they can get down to the side door. And in talking to Scott, he's already thinking about maybe having a pedestrian way in through the back, which is usually just their receiving entrance. Just for short term, we would like to think that we could move along a week at a time in sections. So, you know, any one business is not really totally blocked off long term.
And we have the parking lot behind all the businesses.
We do.
Which gives you access pretty much to any sidewalk to the front or to their back doors, right?
Yeah, it'll create a little more walking for some, I'm sure, but we're hoping that we can do it with the less disruption we possibly can.
Okay, well, it's a big project.
It is. It's been a long time coming. You know, we've heard the comments, not so much complaints, but just comments of why aren't they doing something with that terrible rough street? There was no point in spending a lot of money on pavement knowing that you were going to have to do something underneath because these are 100-year-old lines. And we did have a bit of a scare in June of 2006, just before the homecoming event, that I think it was the water line broke in front of Royal Bank. And when we dug the hole and opened that up, we could tell what bad shape the water line was in, and it really needed help. So, you know.
Before we have another disaster then, let's get on
12 years ago, so I mean, time is of the essence, for sure.
Okay, so we'll get this done. So anything else that 2018 is going to bring to us?
Well, you know, every year this time when we have our little interview, I always like to mention the Survivor Bonspiel because it brings a pile of people to Souris. Everybody gets together, whether they're curling or not, enjoys the meals and dances. And
great time.
It's a lot of fun. It's the last week of March again. And then the fair in July. You know, they've downsized it. They didn't feel they could handle the Heartland livestock which is an expensive piece to put on a full rodeo.
Sure.
Pardon me, but even though it was downsized, it was very successful last year.
Mhm.
And so, you know, I think that's a piece of the community that we want to keep it going as long as we possibly can.
Sure.
There's hardworking volunteers there to work to make it a go every year,
Mhm.
and we want to support them. So I like to mention those two things. I don't know of any other big events being planned this year, like a Canada 150 or any kind of homecoming event. Quite likely there'll be some school class from 30 years or 20 years or whatever,
Yeah.
having a reunion, but I don't know personally of those.
Yeah.
I guess the big date everybody should keep in mind is October 24th.
Mhm.
That's election day for municipal officials and school board trustees. So I would really encourage people to be thinking about both of those very important positions, both sides.
Mhm.
And over the next 10 months, have a good series. Maybe you don't contend or have no interest in it, but maybe you know somebody that would with a little encouragement, let their name stand.
Mhm.
I think renewal is good, and we're hoping for some good interest
Yes.
in both those areas.
Good. Yeah, good. All right. Well, that's wonderful. We have had a big year and are looking forward to another big year in
That's
Souris.
great.
That's
That's
wonderful. Thank you so much for coming in and joining us, Darryl.
Thank you, Laura. Appreciate it.
Spotlight in Souris is brought to you by volunteers of WCG TV. I'd like to thank Mark Cranwell, who is our cameraman, Sheila Kirkup, who is our producer. My name is Laura Simons. Thank you so much for joining us today.